Yo.
What's up? Welcome back, my brothers. Welcome back. How was your week? Anybody can? How was your week? Want to set it off for us.
How's everybody?
Enjoyed my week, fellas. Despite the snow, took a day or two off because of the snow. Just chilled out with family, chilled out with my lovely and beautiful wife and loving family, and just kind of hung out a little bit and just chilled. You know what I mean? So it was overall a very good week for me. You know what I mean? And shout out to everybody at the gig and all people. As we know, I've spoken on before. I work with the disabled population is actually the world's largest minority. And I just want to shout everybody out with that. I just learned that one of the things I'm always learning something. Black people, we are the largest. We are terribly undiagnosed when it comes to autism. So I just wanted to put that out there right now, and our children. So I just want to put that out there right now. We're closing the gap, and it's a sort of a passion for me. I don't know how to really always put it in, but or explain it to people, but it's just something that's on my mind heavily these days. So I just wanted to shout that out.
We appreciate you, brother.
For
a father that has a child with autism, I truly appreciate the work of people that work with kids like myself and adults like my son.
Absolutely,
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
What's up, Rod? How was your week, brother?
My week is I got nothing to really say. I mean, I'm really getting tired of, like I said, house. All I do is chill in the house, shovel snow, chill in the house, shovel snow. I feel like I'm on the lam from the police right now, just staying in the house, doing absolutely nothing, peeking out the window and just looking at the weather, but nothing going on. I just need to change the scenery though.
I feel you.
But other than
Kelvin,
that, everything's good.
That's good. Kelvin, how about you, brother?
Well, I gotta apologize. First of all, the weather has been so bad. I just took my family over to the Bahamas, so that's where I'm broadcasting from tonight, because they were just saying it was cold, and so we just had to get out. I really just took them there, and then I came back. But
private jet.
Right, exactly. Other than that,
Yeah.
So even though my itinerary, I booked the hotel for a week, but it's cool. I really wanted to just drop them. But the other thing is, I was selected as one of the judges for this year's Miss Black Awareness pageant. So I'll be doing that. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. That's a good look.
All right. Yeah.
Man, my week was okay. At one point, the natives got to me because my garbage can. My garbage can got stolen. Now, it's the funny thing, and it had garbage in it. So the garbage can, the garbage missing. So I'm talking to my other neighbors, and the neighbor said, "Man, I found a garbage can the other day." But then I said, "Okay." So I said, "Damn, it looked like my garbage can, but it didn't have the garbage in it." So somebody really stole my garbage can and left, and another one just probably blew down the block. So I got an extra garbage can. But somebody stole the garbage. I just can't believe it. Like I don't know. Hope it's not the feds looking through my garbage. I ain't do nothing. Everything I did was a long time ago.
Yeah, one man's garbage is another man's treasure, right?
Another man's treasure, right? Another man's trash, another man's treasure.
Whatever they're looking for, I ain't got none of it.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Because technically, once you put it to the curb, it don't belong to you.
I know. People don't know that. People don't know you go to jail for that, man.
Once you throw it in the garbage, they don't even need a search warrant for it. They go take it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this a week after Valentine's Day and everything, and people were giving out nice cards to your loved ones and stuff like that. But the LAPD did something really foul. They put out a card, a George Floyd card, and it said, with George Floyd's face on it, said, "You take my breath away." And so now I guess it's under investigation. Some of the cops there, or whatever. I don't know if they got suspended or not. I didn't follow up on that. So any thoughts on that?
And that's the LAPD we talking about, right?
Correct. Yeah.
LA. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we're not surprised about that. You know what I mean?
Nothing shocking about that.
Long history with regard to that type of behavior there. You know, but it kind of just shows me. I don't know, man, just how far we have to go. And I start to wonder if it's even worth it, man. You know what I mean? Just like constantly have the conversation and constantly get excited or upset about it, man. You know what I mean? Because I'm just not an emotional type of person. Like, it's hard for me to get kind of emotional like that about something. I'm more of a fixer. I see a problem, I'm going to go ahead and fix it. You know what I mean? I just jump right in. So every time we turn around and we get upset about these things, and they're doing it on purpose. You have to understand that. You know what I mean? And they, I'm sure it was, they did it. They had to know it was getting leaked, and they had to know they was going to get a rise. So I'm just kind of over that, and I just kind of wonder, you know, what are we going to do, you know, to stop that feeling, you know? So just my thought process.
Rodney?
Yeah. Just like Derek said, I mean, LAPD doesn't surprise me. Is typical racist culture in law enforcement. They have a twisted way of being funny. Their sense of humor is a little bit twisted, and they think things like that are cute. I do disagree with one thing with Derek. There's a lot of things that go on in the police departments that don't leak. You know what I'm saying? Basically, when they do leak, it's because obviously somebody found it offensive and probably leaked it or sent out the card to somebody or whatever. That's probably most likely what happened. But this is typical. Like I said, racist law enforcement behavior. You know.
Oh, we're losing Rodney.
You know, so minds and things like this is funny.
I think Rodney, we're losing Rodney.
I would say this, Rodney. Thank you for telling me that, because so often we see things like that. I see things like that, and I think it's like, you know, it's the opposite. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's just nice. It's kind of almost reassuring to hear you say that, you know, to say what you just said, you know, because I feel like they're doing it on purpose, man. And I feel like, you know, it's just one of those things, like, you know, I don't know. It's I get upset, but then I stop, because I used to keep my wife up at night. Kind of civilize the savages.
Yeah, I think it's obviously it's tasteless. It's nonsensical. It is ultimately just the ultimate disrespect to this man, his life, his legacy, and his family. And you know, I think we have to get to a point where it's not just documenting these things. I think at a certain point we have to just say, like other communities, there's got to be recourse and repercussion for when you disrespect people in this way. Even if I always believe you make people feel things financially. So, I mean, and then I think we've got to hold political leaders, you know, hold their feet to the fire, because, again, you still have somebody that's over the LAPD. You still have, you know, legislators that have to deal with the LAPD. So I think you've got to find those pressure points to make people respect you. I think there's certain communities in this country that have fought for years to make sure that they don't deal with hatred from any source, whether it's law enforcement or any other organization or group. And I think we have to do the same thing for our community and our culture. But for someone to do that, it just shows it's ultimately a slap in the face. It's the ultimate pushback for, you know, what they saw happen with all the young people that was kind of galvanized and coming together. And they just want to make sure that they can keep that divide very, very wide. To make sure that they always feel superior to this group. And I think it's a slap in the face to say, no matter what you do, no matter if you march or if you protest, this is how we feel about it internally. Yeah. And so I think there has to be repercussion. And I think we got to be the people to make sure that we help enforce that repercussion.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, you know, and Rodney said it before, that it's sad to say that you never saw any police unions speak out against anything that happened at the Capitol, anything like George Floyd. They don't speak about none of this stuff. Rodney and I had this conversation before. The unions have been silent about a lot of stuff, and I can't believe like every single police union has not spoke out about what happened. So just go.
Well, like it doesn't surprise. It doesn't surprise me, because you got to understand, when they speak out against stuff like this, then basically they're somewhat kind of admitting that there is a problem internally in the department, and they can't admit that there is a racist problem in the police departments across the countries. Because if they admit it, then basically changes have to be made, and then going to grip and control on the police department, and that's not what they want. They're trying to keep that good old boy network strong. You know what I mean? They don't want that broken.
Yeah.
Hey man, I think.
Go ahead, Derek.
No, I just think it's like, you know, one of those deals where it's you know, it's the whole thing is a psychological play, you know, and I think it's levels to how you can dissuade people from you know, from wanting to do better, from wanting to achieve, for wanting to be included, and to kind of mitigate the response of people, you know, to want to improve their lives. And I think that's, you know, it's like if you have a deal, it's like the hookup. You know what I mean? These, you know how it is. These people turn around and they're getting their sons and their cousins and everybody else, their family members into the unions and stuff and into the force. And there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, you know, and they're just trying to keep that lane open, you know, any way that they can.
Yeah. I want to. Is it Rod Freeze? Oh no. Oh, there he is. Okay. So
I'm good.
Yeah, he froze a little bit, but this will change a little pace real quick. So, and today, again, was trending last week. I don't know if people saw it or not. Was people was trying to call out in Black Twitter and stuff like that, calling Russell Wilson a simp because he adores his wife and he cherishes his wife, and they saying that because she used to mess with Future, and they saying she belongs to the streets. The same thing happened to the brother Michael B. Jordan for showing his love and his affection for Steve Harvey's daughter, Lori Harvey, and people calling him simps. And I mean, people don't know what a simp is. They saying he's a simpleton, he's a sucker, but saying these girls belong to the streets because they all dealt with Future and cats like that. What do you guys think when brothers try to show affection to their women, and women that might have had a tainted past, but who doesn't have a past?
And you're going to get rid of all of Luther Vandross's whole catalog. You know what I'm saying? The entire catalog. If you fall into that, Luther's been very good to me in my life. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't feel for the. I don't know what's going on with that right now, man. This whole war. It seems against men against women, and particularly black men against black women, and I don't know what's going on with that. But I can't get in that.
I'm sorry, Derek. I have the way I look at it is this. I think there's I think it's kind of like different people have a different ideology. There has been for years perpetuated in this. There's been a culture that is, I've always said, that has put young men and women against each other. So a young man and I think you take it back to when we were younger. A lot of dudes did not encourage you to treat women well. It was almost like women are going to play you, so you play them first type situation. And I think people have continued that. So when a lot of dudes see a man treat a woman with affection, a lot of times these guys did not grow up seeing some male in their life treating a woman that was older than them or older than them, a mother or aunt, the same. They didn't see that. So they didn't see, there was no natural affection. So I think some people have this culture. If you look back at hip hop, historically, the way women have been treated, the way women have been looked at, the way women have been frowned upon, you look back, I mean, think about to like the Streets of Watching and with Jay-Z and them and all, and the way women were kind of viewed. And I think a lot of dudes in the street kind of had that image of women where it was like, they will be subservient or whatever. Don't trust them. They're just good for whatever you want them to be good for. And so I think people have carried that on. Now, on the other side of it, I don't think men should, kind of flaunt what they do for their significant other online. I don't think they should necessarily, because, when you get that, you're going to open yourself up to that type of criticism. You know what I mean? So if you do that publicly, then you're going to get the backlash publicly. Sometimes people are just jealous of it. Sometimes people that have no regard for women are going to have a negative or adverse effect to it. So I think that's the issue. But the way I look at it is the woman that you love, treat her the way you love treating her, especially if she loves it, and forget what everybody else is saying. And that's how I look at it.
Well said, Calvin. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I agree a lot with what Kelvin just said. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we are talking about this man's wife, right? I mean, if he chooses to basically celebrate his love for his wife or basically put it out there, yeah, he's going to open himself up for criticism because that's the type of world we live in with social media. Mm-hmm. But, to me, if a man says something nice about his wife, to ridicule him for it, I think that's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like I said, it is his wife. I mean, they have kids together too, right?
Yeah, they have beautiful children.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, if he wants to worship his queen or whatever, however he wants to put it, I don't see nothing wrong with it. The problem is, like I said, like Kelvin said. Kelvin said that basically a lot of people see that as being bad or being weak. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see that as the case. The man wants to praise his wife, he can.
Yeah, and that's the thing with like Little Bootsy and all these cats, right? They judging these women, right, on their past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we're gonna start judging everybody on their past, they be the same people like going to court, saying to him, "Hey, Your Honor, this is my man. He did this in the past, but look at him now. He did this. He's a good person now."
Correct.
So we can't have it both ways. I mean, one way. Like the women can't do this, but but my man that shot 8 people and sold crack to babies, he should be forgiven for what he did in his past.
He gets a pass. Yeah.
Right.
And I told somebody, I always put this to when I talk to my young girls, my students before, and guys are trying to call them hoes. I said, if a girl's 18, she's first time having sex, right? First time she has sex in January of her 18th birthday with a boyfriend, breaks up with him, gets another boyfriend in July or September, makes him have sex in November. So she had 2 partners. Now, say if she averaged 2 partners to the age of 36, she break up, she dating them and have them. So now she considered a hoe. But I can sleep with 36 women in 30 days.
And you'll be the man.
Well, let me say this.
You know what I'm saying? So
long time ago.
We recognize the double standard. It is a double standard, and I have to admit, and I think, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, and when I say guilty of it, I just think at the end of the day, in our mind, we are, or at least I grew up processed to think that women viewed sex differently than men. So when a boy would go out and just try to sleep with everybody, we just chalked it up to being adolescent and being, sexually whatever, because he hits his sexual peak a lot earlier. When a girl did it, we always thought there was something more involved, because it's more of a internal thing. It was more of an emotional thing. It wasn't, women didn't, from what I always thought growing up, women didn't look at sex as frivolously as we did initially. And so I think that's why there's the double standard. Now, whether or not that's true or not, that's up to the person. I'm just saying that it's just, a guy will sleep with a woman who he don't even love, who he doesn't care about, who he's not even attracted to. Women used to have a bigger standard for that. You know what I'm saying? There's some women that wouldn't sleep with a dude that she was into just because the way he asked or the way he disrespected her or whatever. And so that's why that double standard exists. Because to me, if women ever start acting completely like dudes, which is starting to happen now, then we just in a lot of trouble, because it's going to be a wild, wild west.
Speaking of judgment and stuff like that, who always a hot topic right now, and he keeps trending and trending up, and he's trending fast. Brother Kelvin Samuels, and the other night, Kelvin Samuels. I mean, I'm a part of Clubhouse, and Clubhouse, I saw one night they had a room talking about Kelvin Samuels for 18 hours. Women are seriously upset, and they are bothered by Kelvin Samuels. Some women, mostly, and then it seems like, I don't know. What do you guys thought on Kelvin Samuels? I think he's here to stay. I mean, I understand some of the stuff he says. I agree with some of the stuff he says. I think his approach is a little different, but I think his approach is here to stay.
But how are they upset by him when they keep calling into his show?
No, it's not the women that's calling in. It's the other people judging the women that's judging this whole show when they call in.
I don't know. I think he just got I think he has his audience, man. I think his people who like Kelvin Samuels, they call in for whatever that thing is that he gives them. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things. There are women out there who just, we can decide, we can turn around and say, well, they're calling in because they have this sort of esteem issue, or they have this issue, or whatever you want to call it. But whatever that thing is that they get, that they're looking for, they call his for that. And I don't know. You know what I mean? I personally, I don't. If you ask for my opinion, I don't know. I don't get it. You know what I mean? He looks. You already know my. I don't. Right. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by Omi, but I don't know. I don't know his thing. I don't know.
Rodney now was in the room the other night. So Rodney, what's your thoughts on Kelvin Samuels? Because we was in this Clubhouse room for 3 hours.
It's just like, we were on there talking about Kelvin Samuels. Let me explain something to you, right? We weren't the only room that was in there talking about Kelvin Samuels. There were tons of other rooms. And I think you said, D, that one room went on for 18 hours.
18 hours.
18 hours. Let me tell you something. Kelvin Samuels is here to stay, period. He is here to stay. Kelvin Samuels is going to be able to write his own check soon, and he's going to definitely get his own show. You watch and see. The thing is this, right? I remember the first time I ever saw a Kelvin Samuels clip, right? I looked at it and I said, wow, that's pretty harsh, But then the thing is, it seemed that people gravitated to it. You know what I mean? And mostly women, because he's definitely giving you blunt force trauma. That's what he's doing. He's not curving it. He's not putting no sugar on it. He's hitting you with it straight. There's not even ice in the glass. It's just straight. So the thing is, some people, and I think how he's captured people's interest is because I think women are kind of finding that he may have the answer that they haven't figured out yet. You know what I'm saying? So because he's giving it to them straight, and let's face the facts too, guys. I don't know if you disagree or not, but there are some women that come in there and they say things and they're not living in reality, and he tries to bring them back to reality. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, we had this that's kind of like a shock jock of relationships, and we all know from past histories with like Howard Stern, Starr, and Buck Wild, even if people hate you, they still tune in and they listen to you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So the thing is, I think that's what's the deal with Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels ain't going nowhere. This guy's about to be able to write. He's about to hit lotto. This dude's gonna blow.
Yeah. Kelvin?
Well, this is what I'm thinking, and so there are two things here, two dynamics. One of them is the actual popularity and success of this person. The other one is kind of like the character versus charisma. So that's my concern. I think anybody who has a podcast or a platform can get up there and spew different things to make themselves popular. What I would say is, I'm fortunate enough to do a show with you gentlemen. I want to do a show with men that have integrity, and that doesn't mean that we can't have levity, and that doesn't mean that, but if this was something that was just to tear down the community and to me it wasn't advantageous, I wouldn't be interested in it. That's how I look at him. I agree with Rodney. He does say some things that are correct, but let me tell you something. Just because certain things are correct don't mean that they need to be said. And I think the way he presents himself, to me, I see a person, this is my interpretation, I see a person who has no regard for women. I see a person who does not care for women. I see a person who does not love or respect women. And so whatever advice you have to give a person, if I don't think you're doing it because it's for their betterment, then I don't have much regard for you. And when I see him, I see that. I think he's posturing. I think he's saying what will do exactly what Rod described, which is make himself popular, can write his own check and things like that. But I learned long ago, and the great Robert Townsend said this, there's work at the post office.
Yo, with that, listen, so, we see what's going on in Texas, right? It was bad down in Texas. But this time, listen, we got our first, let's chop it up, on the ground weatherman.
Oh, we got a correspondent?
We got a correspondent right now. Listen, this guy.
Hopefully he got a coat on down there.
He's a friend to the show. This is my main man, Jamie. Can you bring in our weatherman on the ground, Mr. Rudy Rush?
Oh, hey, what's good, fellas?
Brother, right there.
What's up, Rudy?
First thing I want to say is, all the women that I've slept with, I was the victim. Okay, I was targeted. I was young, sexy. I don't know what happened.
You was taken advantage of.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel like my numbers are too high because I was taken advantage of. Okay, let's put that out there right off top.
So Rudy,
what up, Rudy? How you doing, baby?
Guys, how y'all doing, gentlemen?
Brother?
Good, brother. So, Rudy, man. So how? First of all, how are you doing? Like, do you have your power back? You have water? What's going on with you, man?
Yeah. So I'm a New Yorker, so let me just start off with that. A lot of us was looking at this whole situation like, hey, it's 20 degrees, it's 3 degrees, it's snowing. But what we failed to realize, and it was a big situation almost to a point where it could have been a national, and it was in some cases a catastrophe. These homes, just think about this, fellas. We have the salt to put on the roads. When you sign in all of these bills and everything, I'm sure somebody sitting in Dallas who hasn't had a snowstorm in over 30 years is like, what? I'm gonna get trucks. I'm gonna put money in the book for trucks. So we didn't have that. The roads weren't treated. You're sitting there with almost snow is heavy. But, we in New York and places like that are used to it have the means to get that snow off your roof or whatever. So you got people here who've never had snow on their roof, never really probably had the proper fixings in the roof. Now you got like 100 or 200 and 300-400 pounds of snow on your roof that's turned into a block of ice. Now it's melting. It's busting your pipes. It's tearing down, like these power grids. So now you have a situation where the water, the electricity. So it got really bad for a lot of people. And so that was the emergency. And that's some of the little language that I like to translate to let people know how serious it actually got here.
Wow. Yeah. A lot of those homes in Texas wasn't constructed for winter conditions. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't having no winter.
Look, Rod, they house is made of straw. The piggies here, the little piggies here made their houses out of. Big Bad Wolf came through and was like,
Big Bad Wolf came through and blew it all down, right?
Absolutely. So that's what we was faced with here. It was pretty bad though. And just to give you guys an example, because as a New Yorker, I was like this. I had snow on my shoes, and I came in my truck, and there was some snow on the floor. It was so cold that snow stayed in my car for like 2 days.
Wow!
It didn't melt. You know what I mean?
Wow!
So that's how it was quite frigid here. It was really cold. So yeah, and the wind chill factor, which really counts when you become a grown up. When you're a kid, you don't know what it means. Wind chill factor was real. So yeah, it got bad here.
So they understand the wind chill factor down there, man.
Yeah,
Rudy, chop this up for us. So Ted Cruz made national news, of course, and there's a lot of supporters, in the state for him. How did you see some of his supporters? Were people ultra critical of him? I did see people protesting in front of his house. How did that play in the state, or at least where you are? Did that come down to you?
So I thought about it, and it all goes back to, things that you learn coming up. And one of my big homies, was like, yo, if somebody's a sucker, they always going to be a sucker. You know what I'm saying? So
sucker, that's right.
And I'm going to give Ted Cruz this much. He didn't plan his vacation before this happened. Right. The vacation was already planned. So, all of us, we've been in situations. Some of us are married, and his wife was probably like, everything is going to be fine. He probably was kind of pushed towards the fact like, everybody's going to be cool. I can get away with this. I can do whatever. And sometimes you make one bad step, especially being a politician. I think that's what he did. I wasn't so mad at him. I said, yeah, sometimes, you got this thing all planned out. Everybody's been kind of cramped down with the COVID. It's probably his first vacation. He's like, yo, I'm not canceling this vacation because, there's so many weather reports that come through here that turn out to be fraudulent. So he probably like, it's not going to be that big a deal. And it hit, and it just kind of worked out not in his favor. So, yeah. So,
he misstepped too much.
It's karma too.
Yeah, he misstepped too much for me. He misstepped on January 6th. So fuck Ted Cruz.
No, absolutely. But and that's why I'm telling everybody, like, if he showed himself to be that way before, what are you tripping for now?
Yeah.
I mean, his real name is Raphael. So let's keep it a buck on that. So, let me ask you a question, Rudy, real quick before we go. How'd your daughter? Is your daughter's first snow? Is this Ramsey's first snow?
Yo, you know what? Actually, it is her first snow because my oldest, who's 14, she's had a few, and that's one thing living here in Texas. I was like, damn, my kids don't never get a chance. But yeah, she got snow angels made some, and I don't agree with it, but her mother was letting her eat snow. I was like, what the hell you doing? Yeah. I started to go Kevin Samuels on her mother.
Yeah. That snow's nasty.
Yellow snow, man.
Like the stuff that we had in our bodies, remember, like the 5-second rule and all that.
Yeah.
Put stuff in our bodies that's crazy. So I was like, all right, but yeah, she definitely got a chance to enjoy it. She's here now. She's being quiet, so I'll give her props because she don't know how to be quiet, but she in the back chilling.
One last thing
for the weekend.
Let me ask one last thing. Rudy. You do it in special. You can choose any venue in the world to do the special. What place is that?
Wow. There's a few. I mean, number one top of mind would be the Apollo, just being from Harlem, being from New York, and just having, the ties to, being the youngest host of the show and working for 3 years prior to that with Steve, just being in your own backyard. It would definitely be the Apollo. Then another one would be probably a theater in South Carolina where I got a lot of my upbringing as far as, going there at 14 and coming back to New York at 18. Like, it was a pivotal point in my life, which will be in my book. But at the same time, it's like, it's probably somewhere in the Low Country in the South Carolina area, or the Apollo Theater. The Apollo Theater is number one.
My man.
So Rudy, man, anything you got going on? I know you had a show in Atlantic City last week. Anything coming up?
You know what? It's so funny. I'm gonna be in California this week, just taking some meetings and stuff like that, working on some projects. The funny thing about 2020, everybody kind of find new avenues. And like, even with you guys, I think, did you guys start this show in 2020?
2020, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of more creative, more ways to just skin a cat as far as, tapping into your own potential and talent. So, I don't have to be just a stand-up. I could be a businessman. And I'm actually, trying to push some shows that are written by other folks and may not even star me in it, so it's just trying to put your hat in the ring. And the funny thing is, and we all need to realize this, even with me and D and your man Sam and everybody, I knew these guys for 20 years, but those are relationships I've always had. They just different now. Mm-hmm. Kevin Hart and I, we was in a car accident in a hoopty on West 4th Street. You know what I'm saying? Mike Epps is crying in my car because we ain't got no gas money. Like, these are people when you call now, it's a different situation. So I think everybody needs to just take a step back and look at that and, always look at your friends now like, hey, listen, this is something. So now I'm just taking advantage of it. And I have a lot to bring to the table too. So we all just going to come up, and 2020 just kind of showed us all that.
Yep. All right. Yes. Rudy, man, we thank you, man. We love you, brother. And I hope to see you real soon in person. You and I talk on the phone almost every day. So it's all good.
Absolutely. And Kevin Samuels is here to stay. But you know what? You got to realize, and Kay, I feel how you feel a little bit because he's just a shock jock. Like he's and D called it. He's a little zesty. You a little too clean for me.
That's what I'm saying, man.
He mad at ladies because they not.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Rudy said it, not me. So all these sponsors.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're part of the community, be a part of the community. That's what I'm saying. At the same time, like, we all love Corey. Corey Holcomb is one of my favorite comedians, always will be. And it's the same thing. It's just telling the truth. It's just the delivery. And we got to give Kevin Samuels credit for that, because a lot of the stuff he does say is true. Them girls be on there like, I'm a 10. He's like, you 5 feet, 200 pounds.
Right. They have an unrealistic reality.
Absolutely.
Unrealistic reality.
He fit in.
All right, brother Rudy, man. Yo, this was good, man. Love you, brother, man. See you soon, man. Be safe.
All right, fellas. All right, be good.
Stay up, Rudy. Love you, brother.
All right, peace. So Rudy's a ride, man. That's a good dude, man. I love that dude. I'm glad him and his family's safe. Rod, take us.
Yeah.
Yo, we're gonna go to our commercial break, and we are going to show love to our sponsors. So bring the commercials in, Jamie. That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
what's up.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
my mic.
that Laddie stuff is hot, man.
Laddie
That
stuff is fire. Yeah, Laddie stuff is fire, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to the brother Laddie, South Carolina brother.
Handmade leather stuff.
Yeah, man. So we saw how powerful in the last election, how powerful the black but also the Latino vote that was so powerful this year, and people have to start respecting that. And we bringing in a special guest tonight to talk more about that and some of the things she has done when she used to work in politics. So, Jamie, bringing our first guest, my sister, who I love dearly, Miss Annie Minguez Garcia.
Hey, Annie, how you doing?
What up,
I'm
Annie?
good.
Going on? How you doing,
Glad
sister?
to be with all of you today.
I know.
Great to have you.
So, Annie, I know who you are and everything like that, but can you tell people a little bit about your background, where you came from, and when I talk about politics?
Yeah, so let me just start off with saying, like, I was born and raised in Washington Heights here in New York City.
Yeah.
My parents are from the DR, Dominican Republic, in the house. I currently live in the BX, so shout out to from the Bronx. What's funny is that I started my career working in a factory at 12 years old, and that spun off to working at SYP, Summer Youth Employment Program, when I was 14, my first legal job, to going away to college and making a decision to move to Washington, thankfully, because my cousin was like, you should come over here, come to DC. I worked under President Clinton at the Department of Labor under the first African-American Secretary of Labor, Alexis Herman. And then from there, I went to work with one of the most powerful Black legislators in the country, Charlie Rangel, Gang of Four from Harlem. And then from there, I did some lobbying with the first Black elected official to receive a statewide nomination, Alan Wheat. And then from there, called back to duty, went back to work for Charlie Rangel in the most powerful committee in Congress, which was the Ways and Means Committee. And it's more powerful because they make it rain.
Make it rain.
They make it rain. So I did that. So like in total, I lived in Washington for 13 years and really like understood politics from having been not only in an agency, but also then working in Congress and then lobbying Congress and advocating for Congress. And now I really use that knowledge, that politicking and negotiations that we had to do when we were in Congress to work at a nonprofit doing government relations.
Can I ask this question, Andy? We're always concerned about young people getting involved in the process, and we do see it now. But what do you say to that group of young people who really feel that there's no place for them in politics, that they feel like the deck is stacked against them? How do you kind of galvanize them and inspire them to actually, join this process and become a part of it, that there is room for them?
Yeah, I think, Kelvin, because I was listening to you earlier, right? And like the reality is that we are facing in our communities a lot of different issues. Right. And I think that it's easier to think about the speed bump that you need on your street, the community center that you need in your community, the business that needs to go because is not doing anything good. It's easier to do those things, but I don't think people realize you have so much power. Individuals have so much power. So when they're politicking that stuff, just take it to another level, and you have no idea like how powerful it is that when I worked in Congress, there were only 2% of Black, Latino, Asian, Native Americans, 2%, 435 House of Representatives, and only 2% of them were people of color. And when you think about that, it wasn't easy, but I come from New York, so we shake it off, and I just think like we're navigating things in our communities. You take it up another notch. We need everybody. And honestly, young people are leading us right now. I know I look young, but young people are leading us right now. And I think like we have to figure out a way to like get them engaged, but also to listen to them, because at this point, they're the ones leading.
Good point. Thank you.
So, it seems like so many people are just sort of, and maybe my generation even, it seems like we're almost checking out, you know what I mean? Politically, you know what I mean? It's almost like, okay, well, what's the point? maybe we're looking for alternative ways. I hear so much just on social media talking about, oh, well, you're voting for this part or you're voting for that. It doesn't matter where you're voting. They both the same person and all of that. Can you speak a little bit about that? Why should I, as a 51-year-old brother who's seen it all, done all march, did what I thought I could do on my own, why should I be so engaged right now, politically in terms of, the system, so to speak,
Yeah, I think what's important to say is that we're seeing change right now in our communities and in our country because we as collectively, Latinos, 32 million, and Black people, 30 million, came out in this election and said, no more. We care about us. We're not a monolithic group, right? Because like if you're Dominican from Washington Heights, it's different from being Dominican from the Bronx or maybe from like North Carolina. Being Black from the South is different from being Black in urban areas, right? Like, so I think that first of all, we need to acknowledge that when we as a collective, Latinos and Black people and Native American people and Asian people say like we're a block to deal with, it is so important because we saw what was happening in our country as a result of us not doing that. And look, this country was developed on a divide and conquer, right? Mm-hmm. And so even when we talk about the Latino vote, and I have to bring in Eva Longoria, right? Like she got knocked out the moment somebody asked her like about the voting and who made it possible. Let's just be realistic. There are states that have heavy Latino presence, right? There are states that have heavy Black presence. But if it wouldn't have been for Congressman James Clyburn of South Carolina saying, I am going to support Joe Biden, we would not have Joe Biden. If it wasn't for Black women, we wouldn't have Joe Biden. And if it wasn't for Latina women, we wouldn't have Joe Biden. But we needed that combination, not one or the other. So my whole thing to you, Derik, is like, we need to continue to stay engaged the same way that our ancestors and people that came before us were like, we're not going to give up just because we're older. I mean, we're here because of them. We stand on their shoulders. But that's the thing. We can't just stand on their shoulders. Now we got to be the shoulders. And we got to make sure that we're listening to young people as they're coming up too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Andy, you was talking about two. Oh, sorry about that. Hear me?
The echo. Annie, I'll ask you a question, Annie. You know, I got teenage kids and stuff like that, and sometimes I notice not all my kids, my son probably takes to politics more than any other of my other children. The thing is, like, what would you recommend about how to get young people more involved in understanding politics? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I think that, Rodney, one of the things to think about is that politics is not just the presidential. Politics is not just congressional, right? Like we have in our own communities, community boards that are super powerful. Depending on where you are, you have a tenant association, a block association. You have communities that come together and that they go to the precincts and they're creating community councils, right? So we have to figure out, like, we need to be infiltrating at all levels. Because look, I worked in Congress, and when you get to that point, you are making laws for the land, for a land that you cannot like say like, well, let's do it this way so that it meets everybody, right? Like it's just gonna have to be a blanket, like this is the law, and then you all states. Like when I hear people say like states have so much power, yes, they do, but localities have even more power.
More power,
right?
Yeah.
People be getting involved in, like here in New York City, I think about like all of the changes that we've seen around even like after school. And honestly, it was little kids that were saying we need after school. It wasn't the adults, it was the little kids saying that. So my whole thing is like, we got to figure out like, how do we impact at the local level? There's so much need for our voices because all politics is local. So not to think about like, I need to go work for a congressman right now. You could go work for your local elected official. You could go work for for the district manager, the district leader. You could go work for the community board. There's just so many opportunities. And now, honestly, in Congress, you could actually get paid to work in Congress. When I was there many years ago, you got to work for free, and the salaries were less than $30,000. So
Wow.
I want you to know the squad has made a difference. And again, big up to coalition building, and the squad has really done it. They got a bill passed, and now everybody got to pay. So the internships are a little bit more accessible, because that was the other thing. Like you would only see like kids that were the kids of like the lobbyists and the doctors and like the politicians. Now you get to see people that look like us, and honestly, like people that come from all over, and that's really important.
So Annie, real quick, I'm gonna ask one of the questions in the audience, but I have a question for you. Do you think it's a divide now, like you say, like Dominicans in Washington Heights, Dominican Brown? Do you think it's a divide in the Latino community? Because we saw a lot of Cuban Latinos come out for Donald Trump in Florida. Do you think it's a divide? Is it by like, why do you think they gravitate more towards Trump than the rest of the brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I think that again, right? Like Latinos come from many races and many ethnicities, right? And so, unfortunately, when you think of the Latino community, and this is not like, I think this is something that even I've been exploring, it's that we don't vote the same way, right? We're coming from different countries. There's that nationality, the pride of nationality. We're coming with political beliefs from the countries that we're coming from, and then coming to this country, and sometimes voting for an individual that has, stricter stricter laws and regulations against the countries that we actually came from. And when you think about Florida, like, look, we were thinking like there's a much larger Puerto Rican community that has come into Florida. But let's be real clear. Why are they coming into Florida? Because of Hurricane Maria. And there was like this flooding of like Puerto Ricans leaving the island. Like, come on, let's make sure that like people can return to the island. And that's the whole nother conversation you're gonna have to bring me back for. But when you look at like Cubans in Florida, remember that they are voting everything against the relationship. Too much relationship with Cuba to them is not what they want. But we gotta also understand them, because they came to this country fleeing what they considered a communist regime, right? And then Venezuela there's so much happening in Venezuela. So like, look, Latinos are Republicans, Democrats, independents, right? Like we got to understand we're not one voting block. So you'll see like Dominicans in Florida were voting Democrat, Puerto Ricans in Florida, Democrat, but then you saw all these other groups. And I think like that's the piece that, to me, I think politicians, but also we got to pay attention to. Because the thing is, like, you can't go out with the same message for all these people, because they're not going to hear it the same way. And it goes back to that piece of like, we also like right now are becoming the largest minority within the majority. And when that happens, right, we know that race is a social political construct. So now in the census, the evolution of the census, now as a Hispanic, I could check off Hispanic white, Hispanic non-white. And here's the thing, when we do that, when we don't protect that Black designation, because Hispanic is not a race, what we're doing is taking resources out of our community. So again, that coalition building needs to work.
And there's so many states doing so much work, basically trying to make it harder for voters to vote. What do we do to prepare? Here's a question. What do we do? How can we prepare for the primaries that are coming up? Because these voter rules are being changed. So how do we prepare for those?
Yeah, voting suppression hashtag. I just saw that come up on my screen. Like voter suppression is real, and let me tell you, voter suppression happens everywhere. Because I think that people think that it only happens in the South. It's happening in Kentucky. We saw it, the long lines, right? Like we saw that polls didn't open on time. So what I think that we need to do is that we need to start volunteering to be part of the people that are poll watchers, that are part of the people that are greeting you and bringing you in. We got to be paying attention. I mean, here in New York, I know that you may have seen like there was a lot of irregularities, even in New York. And we don't think about those things, but we have to start getting involved. And that starts, like what Rodney said, like we need to get our young people that care about that. But also, like, they're telling us who to vote for, then we got to listen to them and say, like, that's what we're going to do. So voter suppression is real. I mean, the whole entire system needs to be like redone. And I don't know that I'm going to see that in my lifetime. I've seen a Netflix film the other day on voter suppression. And honestly, like it feels like something so daunting. Our whole electoral, the way that we elect presidents is so daunting. But honestly, like there's still a power shift, right? Like our systems were created basically to benefit some and oppress others. And we are seeing that more and more. And I think that we as like individual citizens need to get more involved and pay attention to how it is that our elections are run so that we are not disenfranchised. No one should have to show their license in order to go vote. And unfortunately, that's still happening. And it's all a tactic to suppress voters. So
Candy, you're in New York. You're in New York as we are. And what I'd like to know is this, and I've been saying this, I think as far as the mayoral race in New York, we need someone that's going to come back and really revitalize the city after everything we've been through. And so I've been saying we need somebody creative. We need I know we've gone through a rash of borough presidents and things like that, and that's not to disparage any of them, but I think it's just crucial right now. And the current administration, a lot of people have not been, thought fondly of. So my question is, have you, and I'm not going to ask you who, but have you picked someone in your mind that you think would be great? And secondly, is that person you? Because I think you, Annie, are the next person that needs to be the leader of it. But is there somebody, and if it is you, I'm voting for you, but is there somebody that you have in your mind already? And without saying that person, what would you want that person to do?
So I want to make sure that people know there's a mayoral forum. There's 35 new council members that are coming new. So don't forget about that. So like when Derik said, like these primaries, let's pay attention. Okay, because there's going to be 35 new council members out of 51. So we need everybody paying attention. There's 44 candidates that are running for office right now at the mayor level. I have been watching mayoral candidacy forums one after the other. I want a candidate, honestly, who's going to be listening and who's going to be convening young people and really trying to help the young people, especially those young people that are between the ages of 16 and 24, especially those young people that are in foster care, who aged out of foster care, and we were advocating to allow them to come back in. Those young people who have been struggling to get their high school diplomas and now are like, we're abandoning them. The city has been so good with the little kids and with the families, but we have really failed and abandoned our young people between the ages of 16 and 24. And if someone has any information that I don't have, I want it, because I feel like we have just done, like we've really abandoned that population. The same approach that we have for the little kids cannot be the same that we need for our teenagers. Teenagers need something else. Young adults need something else. And we have just not been paying attention to them. So for me, I'm going to be looking for that. Who is convening? Who is talking to them? There's 44. I mean, I do government relations right now, so it wouldn't be politically correct for me to say who.
No, and we gotta get those checks, Andy. You and I gotta get we ain't saying nothing.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not trying to do a Ted Cruz right now. I'm not trying to do a Ted Cruz.
Fair enough. One thing, long as the next man come out, he don't parade his kids with afros. I'm all good for it. Any man come out, don't parade his kids in front of the screen with afro. But Andy, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on. People, I see Lisa, our girl Lisa, saying Andy for mayor. I think Andy, if you don't be mayor, I think you should help somebody become mayor, because you're really dope. I love you. Sis. Anything you want to say to people before you leave, and how can they find you? Any handles that you're on?
Yes. So I'm on Twitter, Annie E. Minguez. So please follow me on Twitter. And I look forward to continuing to chop it up.
That's right. And Annie's going to get a podcast. I'm making her get a podcast.
She need one, for real.
And we'll come on your show.
We're going to come on you. You and Lisa going to have to get it done. I'm putting the pressure on y'all right now. So.
Well, you just said it publicly. Now we're going to have to do
it. I love you, sister. Thanks a lot for coming on. We'll chop it up.
Take care, Annie.
All right.
Later. See ya. Dope.
Allow you in the middle. Annie always delivers, man. Listen, if anybody want to be in a battle with between her and my girl Lisa at work, is Annie, because Annie and I've been down to Tweed building, all these politicians, and she gives the business, So she's the truth. So
definitely, absolutely, very good.
And the message for that, we gotta get more young people. We really got to get them involved and engaged, and we have to listen to them, man.
The youth of the future. We have to prepare the future for the future.
Facts. That's a big fact. That's a big fact. So our next guest, Derik.
Man.
Next guest.
I'm gonna put it in this. We're in Black History Month right now, and one of the things that I often wonder about is just how to introduce my children to the culture. You know what I mean? Because you can't really, you know how it is. Black history, when it comes to public school, starts with Martin Luther King. It was slavery, then Martin Luther King, and then you know what I mean, and then that's it. You know what I mean, and there's so much in between, and we just and we need to introduce them to who we are. So I just want to introduce the next guest. He is an amazing individual, author, scholar, activist, and his name is Garrett Taylor. And
right.
And we're going to ask him a few questions regarding that and what's going on with him. So can we bring Garrett in, Jenny? What's going on?
What's up, brother?
What's up, brother?
What's going on, fellas? How's everybody doing today?
All right, how are you?
All right.
Good for you, man. So, brother, can you tell us a little bit about your background so people can know, man, who you are and everything?
All right. First of all, Derik kind of skipped over this, but we've known each other for a long time. Derik is actually my much older cousin. So, you can't tell what all the
gray hair I got. Pass, but we put it out there. All right.
All right.
He said my much older cousin.
Don't let the gray hair.
Real? Damn.
Yeah. You got me by a few years. But no, I'm actually native of Bertie County, small area, Eastern North Carolina. I am a graduate of Liberty State University. I always got to plug my university. A member of Omega Psi Phi for any brothers that might be out here looking into the podcast. I've been I started off my professional career as a school teacher, so a lot of the perspective I have comes from that background as a teacher. And from teaching, I moved over into doing mental health. So I've been doing about 20 some odd years in the mental health arena. Probably maybe 5-10 years ago, my wife kind of came up to us with the idea of doing a publishing company. And so we jumped into publishing from that area. So I'm somewhat of a serial entrepreneur. I do nonprofit work, a lot of work in the city. As Derik said, I do a lot of advocacy work in the community. So I'm just all around jack of all trades right now.
That's what's up, brother.
Wow, okay. Very nice. I wanted to ask you, a lot of people, I remember being in undergrad, and I had a professor say, don't go to school to get a degree. Go to school to become a scholar. And, at the time I didn't understand that, and I'm listening to you and listening to people. It's something about falling in love with learning. And it seems like we go to school or get an education just for the sake of trying to get a job. It looks like we're missing a step. And do you think that's the case? And if it is the case, why is that?
Well, I think we have to learn how to continuously be learners, and I always have to step back because I always have to remind folks that some of the best scholars I know never stepped foot on a college campus, but they understood the learning process and they fell in love with learning, and I learned from those brothers all day long. Recently D.L. Hughley pledged Omega Psi Phi, but I can tell you, and a lot of brothers were upset because D.L. Hughley has honorary degrees, but didn't have a 4-year degree, but he has an honorary degree because he's one of the most learned individuals you have out there. You sit down and chop it up with DL for a minute, man. The brother, I had a chance to chop it up when he came to Virginia Beach, and 5-10 minutes, and the brother gonna drop something on you. You're gonna learn. So to me, learning has to be a lifelong process, I'm different when it comes to school because I'm like, school is a business. So when you go to school now, I'm telling my kids, when you go to school, you need to be I didn't say cost benefit analysis going on from whatever you're trying to major in.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
Family, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If you could revamp your local or whatever school system and introduce Black history to children, how would you kind of go about it? What's the first thought that kind of goes through your mind? You know?
So I'm gonna go on a whole nother limb with this one, cousin, and just say that I wouldn't, because it's not. If we ever, one of the biggest mistakes Black America made was depending on white folks to teach our Black children about Black history. You will never get a fair and accurate portrayal of Black history. Now let me step back. I would make changes in the school system. I want to make sure I don't want to gloss over that.
There go my man. There go my man.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's my guy. That's my guy.
Yo, my man rocking a Freddy Krueger shirt today. Too.
Oh yeah. That's my dude. I'm sorry. Sorry for this on camera.
Hey, libations is good. Libations is good.
That's how they know we related, fam.
Hey, cuz at least you put yours in the right cut. I didn't have open container with it. But yeah, so let me take a step back because one of the biggest learning processes I've had in writing children's books is seeing the need that white children have to learn our history. So when you're talking with some of the other side, the Trump supporters or whatever, what the problem you're having with these people, if they have no appreciation, understanding, or love of Black culture, it's a disassociation because they've been reinforced with that. Let me go back to your because Derik, first there's two parts of that answer. Okay. One is the ultimate job falls back on parents. Right. We have to do our research to teach our kids, but and I have zero faith in others to teach our kids, but we do have to make the attempt. So in the process of making an attempt, there's some steps that you have to go through. First of all, we got to take all reference to slavery out of elementary education curriculums. You should not mention slavery in any regard until it comes to middle school. The formative years of your child's learning process. And this is a lot of research based on a brother. Let me make sure I get his name right. It's a Dr. James Hughley. I was looking at some of his research, and the brother's dynamic. And Dr. Hughley basically breaks it down that we are introducing our children to slavery and oppression too soon. So the very first image most of our children have of what their culture is of Kunta Kinte getting whipped on a slave block, right? So we have to go back and teach Black excellence before we teach Black oppression. So no one should be learning about slavery really in the elementary years, because that's not Black people. Black culture is so much bigger than that. And and I think it was Dr. Henry Clark who said slavery is not Black history, it's the interruption of Black history. Right. So we have to go back, teach the Black excellence. Let's teach about Mansa Musa, which is one of the reasons why I put the brother in my I might be one of the first kids' books who even mentioned Mansa Musa.
Let people know, because some people might not know who Mansa Musa is. Yeah.
Okay.
And how rich he was. Go ahead.
Mansa Musa was the king of Mali. Mansa in itself means king or ruler. And Mali was a province of Timbuktu, and at that time he was the richest man. He still today is the richest man in the history of the world. This brother went on a pilgrimage to Mecca because Islam had taken foothold in West Africa. But prior to that, West Africa was mostly Hebrew. And so if you read the Hebrewism of West Africa, you'll get that back understanding that we were first Hebrew people who were then converted to Islam. But at that time, Timbuktu had converted to Islam, and Mansa Musa went on a pilgrimage to Mecca. The brother gave away so much gold when he hit Egypt that he collapsed the Egyptian economy. Mm-hmm. That's how much money he gave away. That's how much gold.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to give the backstory. Yeah, so now we got that. But so I like what you said, brother, because kids should learn from. If you're gonna teach history, teach it from the beginning, and then from the beginning, and then that's how you go, and then eventually, way down the road, thousands of years later, this when you run into slavery and stuff like that. So that's so
because there's a disassociation and I have to explain this even to my white friends, is that but African history is world history, and so what they've done is they carved that out, and so a lot of white folks don't feel a connection to that aspect. But you're descendants of Africans. Africans were the first people on the planet. All people came from Africans. So this is not necessarily just our history. This is world history. This history belongs to the world. This is a story that belongs to the world, and we have to present it that way. So the others will embrace it, because when you see a true appreciation through culture, then you can start to see some change and evaluation of a people in real time. So and so then I would phase it into teaching about slavery, and so it goes into steps. You introduce slavery, but you still don't go into the horrors. When you look at some of the stuff that we've seen and we've been exposed to, we don't understand the psychological traumas that go into just imagery. My daughter is one of the most empathic people I know. She can look at a dog being hurt on television and bust into tears. Can you imagine a psychological impact when you see a person being whipped or a person hanging from a tree? And that's what we're showing our kids way too early. So we're imposing psychological traumas on our kids before we impose greatness on them.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. So I worked in education for 18 out of 21 years in my career now. Mm-hmm. Now we've seen places like, I think it was Iowa, one of those states like Utah. One of the places, it was Utah, Iowa, that tried to take out the Black History Month. The family could sign off and not be part of it. What are your thoughts if you was in that educational system in that state? What would you first thing you would say if somebody said that at that school? What would you tell the administration?
Look, this is the reality we have as Black folks. We have to stop caring about what they do or what they say. You're not going to change them. There's a point where I think we are heart-driven people, which is why I think sometimes we're manipulated because of it. Black and Hispanic people are, we govern. If we like you, we with you. Sometimes you don't do a damn thing for us, but we like you and our heart is there, so we're with you. So sometimes we don't comprehend when people just can't understand. And these people made a choice. I've been talking to people. I've been on this battlefield. I've been at marches and whatever. And when you sit here talking and dialogue with people and they say stuff like, I refuse to believe. And you hear that all the time. I refuse to believe. You can see Obama eat a pork chop sandwich on Saturday afternoon during Ramadan, and they'll still say he's a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? They refuse to believe. And so we can't waste our breath on those who refuse to believe. We got to focus our attention, so to that, I'm like, take your little raggedy kids on. You know what I'm saying? Go home, let them be ignorant, because the change is not going to happen. You're never going to have universal acceptance of anything. Yeah. So we can't focus on those who choose, who have made a conscious decision to not see. What was it? Dr. King said, I want to make sure I get it right. The two most dangerous forces in the world is conscious. Yeah. You got me. I know. It's sincere ignorance and conscious stupidity. So you have a combination of sincere ignorance, and that's something we can deal with. But you have this conscientious stupidity that's going to go on, and there's nothing we can do at this point to change that. So what we have to do is stop being stuck in this. Well, let's reach out to this folks. We need to focus on those people that are on our side and with us.
Yeah. Family, I'm going to ask you. Okay, go ahead, Rodney.
Yeah, Todd, I want to ask you a question. What kind of learning tools would you recommend for young people if you had young kids, as far as bringing them up to teach them about Black history and stuff like that?
Actually, I'm going to be launching a new website just to try. And you can right now. You go on our website, TaylorMadeBooks.com, and you'll see that we have some children's books now that are starting to introduce stuff. But we have to be very conscious, and that's actually what I'm looking at doing, and not just pulling kids' books that have our kids as characters, but also focusing on kids' books that introduce historical information to our children. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I would always caution every parent to do is check the author. If you go into Barnes and Nobles any Black History Month, 90% of the books about Black history are written by white folks.
White people, yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so you might have to. There's the world's largest children's book fairs in Philly every year. And so that's one of my favorite. I mean, man, people come from miles around all over. There's lines around the building for people to get Black books. Harlem Book Fest, we go down there all the time. I don't know if they're going to do it anymore, but we've gone there several years. We're going to have to be very proactive to go out here and research and pull this information down. But we are going to have that. The website is blackourstory.com. And that's going to be another portal to bring that information in. But in the meantime, use your social media, use your YouTube. Right now on social media, one of the last remaining great scholars is still out here kicking it, Dr. Runoko Rashidi. If you ever get a chance, go on Facebook right now, follow Dr. Runoko Rashidi. Dr. Rashidi was there with Dr. Henry Clark. He was there with Dr. Ben. He was the young gun that was hanging with them back in the day. And now he's still out here doing his thing. He's doing cultural tours, historical tours. We have to be intentional with our knowledge and really seek it out. I mean, we got, of course, there's a huge, started from Miseducation of the Negro, Carter G. Whitson, on up. There's a lot of material, but we have to understand that we're in a new media type era. And so we're going to have to look for resources. YouTube is going to be big. I mean, one of my best hobbies is going on and listening to YouTube lectures from Dr. Clark or Dr. Ben. I do that all the time. That's if you want to just have a good Sunday afternoon listening, those brothers drop facts. And so so we're gonna have to be very intentional with that knowledge.
Shout out to old Brooklyn Slave Theater, man, back in the
There
days,
you go.
man.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let me ask you a question, though, family. I mean, I know you traveled to Ghana during the year of return, and I kind of always live a little vicariously through you. I mean, I could just go ahead and admit it now because you're on my show, right? But what was the impression of, let's say, the Ghanaian people of circumstances here of Black people in America, man? What was the general impression?
Well, the whole tour was just the whole visit. I actually went there because I was representing HBCU Africa Initiative. So it was an initiative to get, because if any of us who went to HBCU, there were African students who were heavy on our campuses. And so what we're trying to do, shout out to Morgan State, because Morgan State is actually putting a campus in Ghana. So they have an extension campus developing right now in Ghana. And so the chancellor was there with me. We both received, it was a Living Waters Award for our global impact from the HBCU community. And it was just a really, Chancellor Wilson did a great job. And I had the chance to sit down and meet with the chief of the Akan people. And that was powerful, bruh, when you talk about these chiefs and having that chief apologize for their role in the slave trade. So we got to understand, I mean, there's some real truths that we got to have and we got to be honest about. Slavery, first and foremost, if you really look at who we are as African Americans or Black people, and I say not just African Americans, I say Black because I feel like Black is representative of the diaspora. And I think this show represents the diaspora. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. But when you have East Slave Castle, what became a different port of debarkation. So, for example, I was in Osu Castle, and that was where all the slaves were shipped to the West Indies. Then we went to the castle on the Ivory Coast, and that's where all the ones were shipped from Ghana to us. You see the active role that a lot of tribes did play in the slave trade. And so, but that's because we were not native West Africans. A lot of us are derivatives of tribes that came from the East to the West, and then were the new brothers on the block. And that's one of the reasons why we were sold. So it wasn't like this tribe is just selling my brother. It was, well, they sold the guys who just showed up to the party, because we were coming from the East. but it was active, and Africans did participate, and so they apologized. A lot of them didn't really understand, man. Like there were times where I don't think they got it. I don't think they understood the deep psychological impact we were having. It was almost like just a regular tourist attraction. When we came out of the door of no return, there were kids outside, kind of beggars, and it was like, yo, we didn't get a chance to really take in the entirety of that moment because it was kids outside begging, because in their reality right now, we're rich Americans. And so they were just, trying to survive. And I'm not knocking those children, but I don't think they really understand it. So they're learning. When I one of my most impactful moments, someone went to Africa before I did, and they took some of my books and started reading in their villages. And I learned that, just because they're in Africa doesn't mean they're educated any better than we are. As a matter of fact, we know more than they do on some fronts, because we have access to more resources and better education. So we have to be the leaders, even in going back and sending that information back to Africa. That's why sometimes when I'm listening to folks and they're saying, "Well, I talk to such and such, he's from Africa," that doesn't mean he knows any more than we do, because their education system was colonized just like ours. And Ghana was very much a colonized nation, but they've done an amazing job of turning it around, and they understand the need to bond and bring us all back within the diaspora. And so I can tell you that it's one of the most welcoming countries I've ever been to, and they want to see us. I have many friends over there. So with all of the things I brought up, I want to make sure I leave you all with the fact that they are ready for us to come over there, and I will be going back soon as things open up a little bit. I'll be going back almost annually to do some of the work with the HBCU committee and continue to work with the people over in Ghana and try to help bridge that gap educationally.
Yeah, and I see brother Stevie Wonder I think he relocated to Ghana. I think I just read that today. So. Can you tell us a little bit about your book and how can people find you?
Well, we actually have 3 books. One, my first book, I did Daddy's Little Princess, and Daddy's Little Princess is one I did with my daughter. And just real quick, I'll give you a quick backstory on that one. With Daddy's Little Princess, my daughter came to me one day and said, "Daddy, I know you call me a princess, but I'm not a real princess." Now, I'm in a super woke household. Derik can attest. I got Black art everywhere. And at the time, I had a life-size cutout of Princess Tiana in my daughter's room. I redid the whole room. I painted the whole room like a castle. I had sheets. I mean, my son thought the cutout was a real woman. He was in love with that cutout, right? So, that was my son's first girlfriend. And so, but with all of my influence, my daughter said, "I still don't see myself as a princess." And I asked her why. She said, "Well, I said, what about Princess Tiana?" She said, "Well, Tiana was a frog most of the movie." So at 4 years old, she picked out the fact that while Disney has started to show Black characters, you go back and look at it, most of them have been transmogrified to another character, a frog, or what was the last one that just came out where Samuel L. was a ghost or spirit or whatever. I mean, you don't really see that Black character throughout the entirety of the movie. And even with Princess Tiana, she was still an overworked waitress for most of the movie. And then because she married some outsider who into her community, that's how she gained her royalty. It wasn't indigenous to her or our people. And so my daughter picked up all that at 4 years old. So we did Daddy's Little Princess, which listed all Black princesses. And even down to one who's called King Peggy. Her story is amazing. If you get a chance to Google King Peggy. So that was the first one. And then I want to do the same thing for boys, and Dad, Who Will I Be kind of took off. And that's probably one of my best. It's absolutely the bestseller right now. I get emails and inboxes all the time from parents who say, "This is my son's favorite book," because it's just an affirmation book for little boys. It's, we talk about Mansa Abubakar, who's Mansa Musa's uncle, who sailed 2,000 ships to Americas 700 years before Christopher Columbus. And so, we talked about all these other amazing figures in history and put that into our kids' brain. Because I can tell you right now, if I ask you, if I was to stop right now, you might not have heard this nursery rhyme, but I say hickory dickory dock, the mouse what?
Ran up the clock.
Back. You learned that when you were probably like 3 years old.
Right.
So when you put stuff into a child's mind early, it sticks with them. So when I started telling them, you could, what can you be? I could be anything I want to be. I can be as tall as a mountain, as big as a tree. I can be like Marcus Garvey, who liberated you and me. When I started telling our boys that, at 3, at 4, Marcus Garvey liberated Black people. Mansa Musa, was the richest man. Mansa Abu Bakr, was the richest man in history. That sticks with our kids. It sticks with them forever. So that's what. Then it was Dad Will I Be. The last one I did was more of a social commentary. It's called I Don't See Color. And in that one, I absolutely hate and detest that statement. It's the biggest lie ever told. And so it kind of goes into this storyline because in the process of the book, all the people who were saying I don't see color had good intentions, right? But but that is not how you appreciate or accept Black and Latino culture. You don't tell me I'm great because you don't see me. You have to learn how to appreciate me. And so that was the underlying moral of the story. And that was what I love about that book is a lot of my white friends would gravitate to it and say, oh my God, I love this book. This is what I tell my students all day long. I tell them this every day. I don't see color. And then they read the book and they're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I shouldn't be telling my students I don't see color, right? So, it catches them. And I got to now when our people come up, they looking at me kind of side-eyed until they read it. They're like, okay, I understand it. I love it. I appreciate what you do. And actually, I have an animated short or about that one that I got on my Facebook page right now, G. Todd Taylor, my Facebook page. But I'll be putting it on our website and everything else. It's on YouTube. I Don't See Color. It's an animated short. It's an 8-minute short film. But they animates that story. So if you got small kids or know somebody with small kids, you can direct them to YouTube and they can see the short, about I Don't See Color. And so we've stayed hustling and we have some more works coming out real soon. Hopefully by the end of this year, we have a couple more coming out. And so we'll keep plugging away.
All right.
All of our books are available on www.tailormadenc.com. www.tailormadebooks.com, either one, or Amazon. We're in Walmart or Target online. You can just go on the online store. Amazon, easy. Or if you want something, autographed or whatever, go through our website, tailormadebooks.com, and then we can autograph it from there.
And you get more of the money.
Right.
Absolutely.
That part. Yeah, right.
Listen, brother, thank you, man, so much for coming on the show, man, with the educational forum. We need more brothers like you in the educational field because sometimes we in a lot of rooms and I'll probably be the only brother in there. So we need more brothers like yourself, man.
No doubt.
Appreciate you, brother, man.
Appreciate you.
But still, thank you. 5 minutes Sigma is better than Omega anyway, but that's another story.
It's your show. I'm gonna let you live because it's your show.
All right, brother. All right, man.
Take care, bro.
Take it easy, brother.
Later, cousin.
Wow,
yeah,
man. That was excellent.
Hey, look at Kelvin's in the middle. See, all right.
You know what it is. You already know.
Get him flight.
No, that was excellent, man. No, he really brought it, man.
Excellent.
We really do need to see more of ourselves when it comes to educating our young people. And it's good that we start getting books. People to understand when we used to say like we want to see Black Barbies, and we wanted to see, that alone, like cartoons. When he said the frog, I was like, oh shoot, he's right. The little girl was a frog. It's crazy. So it's like I'm glad to get more people out there. Like I see more cartoonists and stuff like that starting to put more Black figures and brown figures in some of these things. And now they start to even have handicap and all kind of stuff. So just appreciate brothers like that, man. Really
definitely, absolutely, excellent. Yes, excellent.
So right now everybody's talking about the vaccines and stuff like that, and trying to get better to a better place where we can be at. But nobody really talks about like how can we get there eating wise, like how we eat to live, nutrition and stuff like that. How can we do more with juicing and stuff like that? So our next guest I want to bring on, but first I'm gonna show a little promo from her, and then I'm gonna bring my sister Dawn on.
I'm Dawn Kelly, daughter of Joan Kelly, granddaughter of Margaret Ackerman, and founder and CEO of The Nourish Spot. I'm a native New Yorker, born in Harlem and raised in Queens. The community connects to The Nourish Spot through a number of ways, one of which is through my family's 60 years of long-standing roots in this community. My grandfather purchased the first home in our family here in Jamaica. We connect to the community through our employees. We have a number of young Black and brown men and women that mask up and glove up to come to work every day so that we can assemble customized fruits and vegetables into what customers want. And so I'm really happy that we have such a great team, and I thank them every day for their dedication and fortitude.
That look good, man.
That look good. I had it before, man. Yeah. So without further ado, Jamie, can you bring my sister Dawn in?
Hi, everybody.
Dawn.
Hey, Dawn.
What's up, sister? What's going on?
Hey, Dawn. How you doing?
I'm doing great tonight. Thank you very much. The store's closed for the week. I get tomorrow off. And so I'm happy to be talking to you fellas tonight about entrepreneurship, about working with kids and, about eating healthy.
Yep. So before we get into that part of it, Dawn, can you give the people a little background? How did you wind up getting in the Nourish Spot? I know how you got it, but can you tell people where you first started and what made you get into the business?
Well, I'll tell the short part. The short part is I worked for more than 30 years in public relations and marketing. My last role was a senior public relations executive for Prudential Financial. And in September 2015, I got a new young white male boss, and he eliminated my job. Now, we could talk a whole lot about what that means, but I don't want to digress. The wonderful thing about it is that they had to pay me a severance package, and it was a financial services firm. So I am a young Black girl that comes from humble beginnings. So I was saving my money, and with the severance package and the savings, I partnered with my two young adult children. At that time, they were in their late 20s. And we established the Nourish Spot together in our neighborhood.
Beautiful. That's what's up. Appreciate that. That's what's up. That's what.
Very
so
good.
like, Dawn, a lot of people are scared at times, right, to leave corporate America, and like but I mean, I guess you kind of forced out. But like, would you ever scared to like leaving this, like, and people say like get off the titty,
Well, I'm gonna tell you honestly. Listen, you hitting a point right there. I had been planning, I was in my 50s. Once I turned 50, I started thinking about what was next. And honestly, I never had a juice bar in my sights. I actually thought I would continue doing communications because I've done it my whole entire life. I mean, even when I was in college, I was doing PR. And I want to give a shout out to my HBCU. HU Howard University.
All right. I'll give you
and so I never really thought that I would be in a food business. But what happened was, while working in corporate America, I gained a lot of weight. I was traveling all around the world because I did international global communications. And my time was off. I was eating crazy, socially drinking, all the things that you do when you're an executive in corporate America. And my health actually suffered. So, in hindsight, I realized that gentleman probably did me a solid by giving me the opportunity to walk away. And God, I'm very faithful. I prayed a lot, because I was scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. And because it wasn't me walking out the door on my own, they had forced me out. And so I was scared, but I prayed, and I prayed without ceasing. and God delivered me an idea, a venue, and my children and I, we made it work, and we are still making it work, and I'm really proud.
You know, I first of all, I commend you for what you do, and you have a wonderful presence and spirit. I'd like to say that I grew up like a lot of people on a lot of foods. I got a lot of misinformation early, and I look at the things that we grew up on, some of the junk. I was thinking about the other day, spam. It's just ridiculous stuff that we would eat. Yes, we used to spam, loved it too.
I hate
you know, I grew up on spam, and so I realize now today, this health has to be a lifestyle, and this is where I had my moment, and I want you to speak to this because I think everybody has to have their own moment. I was one day putting 93 gas in my car, and I was saying, why would I put the best gas in the car and then have some Cheetos or something putting in my body? You know what I mean? And so I had that moment. And could you expound a little bit on what people need to do and to think about, not just as a trend, but as a lifestyle, to eat things that are just going to build you instead of tear you down?
Well, I want to say ding, ding, ding to you for having that epiphany at the gas pump. Because we are what we consume. And I would tell you that my dad, my mother, and my father were really great about introducing my siblings and I to a lot of different foods. Now, don't get me wrong, we had our fair share of junk food too. But my dad, because my grandmother, I'll never forget this, my grandmother was, she got very ill. And when she got ill, my dad was taking care of her, and he pretty much changed our diet just like her diet changed. And it's funny, I was just talking to my little sister, or younger sister, the other day, because I remember us driving over to Green Acres Mall, going into the health food store, and my sister said she wanted a chocolate bar, and my dad said you can get some carob chips. And she said, you know, what's that? What are you, a health food nut? And I would tell you that I never really thought about that until I started, you know, when I started to open up the juice bar, how our lives have come full circle. Yes, it's very important. And we know now more than ever during COVID that we are what we eat. And if you consume junk, your body will run like junk. If you consume leafy vegetables, roots and tubers, organic fresh fruit on a daily basis, and eat a balanced diet, then you will live longer. Your organs will function more correctly. And, you know, your mind will even work better. You know, I learn things every day. So what I will tell you is I'm not a nutritionist, okay? What I am is somebody that has eaten healthy pretty much my whole life, made some mistakes along the way, and quickly, you know, turned that around so that I could get my weight back in order, so that I can sleep better, you know, and so I don't have to end up in the doctor's office on some kind of regular medication, because that is something that I'm running from. And I would tell you that the nutritionists that I work with, the doctors that I talk to, what they say more often than not is that most chronic illnesses that African Americans and Latinos find themselves grappling with, we can fix it with our diets.
Wow. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? I want to do something a little bit more healthier, because, you know, right now, you know, I got friends that kind of visit from out of town, you know, family, whoever. And the first thing we do is we grab us a bottle of something. And you know how it is when people come in and you enjoy yourself, you know. But I want to do a little bit better. You know, like right now, I got something in there that ain't water, right? But you know what I'm saying? But I want to do something a little better, something that makes me feel a little better, something that's a little bit more interesting. What can I do, or is it something that you have at the Nourish Spot that's a little interesting, that can make me feel good, or you know what I mean, a little conversation piece, or something I can do at home that's a little bit better for me? What would you suggest? You know,
well, I'm going to tell you up front, I'm all for balance. So I'm not going to tell you that you can have a sip here and there, because I do.
Right.
Right.
All right.
But everything in balance, right? Everything in moderation. So now I'm drinking.
Okay. That's what we're talking about.
I'm drinking a Berry Crazy that we make at the Nourish Spot, and the Berry Crazy is chock full of antioxidants. It has strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries, fresh, not frozen. And it has a little tip of honey in mine because I like honey, but we also offer maple syrup or agave because we don't offer any sugar, no white sugar, no brown sugar in the Nourish Spot. That is something that is killing Black people. Sugar. Get rid of it. And you know sugar is in liquor. So that's why you have to be careful with
especially rum,
brown liquors and the vodka, all of it, because it is sugar. So and most people, they think they're addicted to alcohol. No, they're addicted to sugar. So we just need people to be a little bit more moderate about the things that you consume as well.
See, that's why I get my stuff from the earth. My stuff comes from the bush.
Okay, so I want to ask you. So let me ask this question because you just made me think of something. So I'll get pistachios and they'll say sea salt, and then I'll get like I won't get white sugar. I'll get turbinado, which is supposed to be cane sugar. Am I kidding myself, or is it just as dangerous? The sea salt and the cane sugar that is no GMOs and all that.
Kelvin, get rid of the sugar. Period. Just use some agave. Use a little bit of honey. Your body can manage it better. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not a fan. And this is my own personal take, but I'm not a fan of any of these what do you call it? Impossible burgers. None of that stuff that you got to turn it into something. Just eat the fruit. Just eat the vegetables, right? Just eat the beans. Okay, all of those things. Like I learned just yesterday, because I heard somebody say, I think it was Mr. Todd. He said something about learning. You got to learn forever. I worked for AARP when I first got out of college, and they taught me early on, learning is a lifelong journey. And you need to consistently learn more so that you can do more, live more, okay? And so I would tell you that if you just use the agave, which is from the cactus, okay? You use honey, which, we know bees make that, you will be much better off. And stay away from all of that impossible burgers and all of that stuff that they make up, because I don't trust any of it, and you shouldn't either.
Yeah,
good point.
Thank you. Real quick. I'm sorry. Let me ask you a quick question. How important was it to bring the Nourish Pot to your own neighbor? Because I know when I saw it, I know it's that, but when I saw the aerial view, I know it's in our neighbor we came up from. Well, how important was that?
It was very important. So let me paint a picture for you. So, I own my own home. So when I didn't want to cook, I would get in my car and say, okay, I'm going to go find a salad somewhere. And in Jamaica, it was so hard. I mean, really hard. And so I would actually drive from 107th Avenue all the way to Rockaway, to Panera Bread to get a salad. And I used to always kid myself and say, if you get $1 past your lunch money, maybe you can open up something so you don't have to go so far. Or maybe somebody will get smart and open up a salad bar in the hood. Okay. But it never happened. And then my job was eliminated. And so it was quite refreshing to be able to open up a juice bar in my neighborhood, even though people that look like me and that don't look like me told me that it was going to fail. Okay. They told me that if I wasn't serving fried chicken, and I'm not kidding, that Black people weren't going to show up. But let me tell you, we've been in business for almost 5 years now, and Black people show up every day.
That's
right. How about that? How about that?
Sister had a line out there one day, had me waiting out there for 30, 40 minutes.
That's good problems right there.
That's a good problem. I said, these damn carrots and kale better be on point, man.
I'm really proud. I'm gonna tell you, I'm really proud of our neighborhood, especially you guys. I would tell you that a lot of our customers are men, and it's really amazing to me that men they're really invested in their health. They are really now don't get me wrong, women show up, but our customer is mostly male. And they're from like I would say from 18 to 80, because I got customers all ages. Now I also get young children that come from school, and that's the most beautiful thing, because they have elected to not have the sugary drink or the candy from the store. They come to my store with their money in hand, and they tell me what fruits they want, and we make them smoothies. And I'm gonna tell you, that warms my heart, because that right there, as the man said, if you teach them young, they will grow up eating more healthier. They will grow up drinking more balanced, and they'll live longer. They won't be fighting kidney disease and all the different things, that heart disease, all the different things, obesity that our community as a whole are managing every day. I mean, it's really sad.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Dawn, I want to commend you for doing something so positive in the community and bringing something that's going to bring health to the Black community. I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
I also want to ask you a question. Now, our community is always plagued with high blood pressure and diabetes.
Yeah.
Person walks into your shop and says, I got high blood pressure. What's going to be your recommendation?
Beets and carrots. Okay.
Beets and carrots. Okay.
Beets and carrots. Okay. Because they are known to help bring your pressure down, as well as if we have soup with beans in it, we would also offer you some soup with beans, because beans also help with bringing your blood pressure, controlling your blood pressure.
Okay.
Dawn,
I'm sure you've been asked that question before.
Yeah.
All the time. And let me tell you something else. Wheatgrass. So we sell in the store wheatgrass shots, ginger shots, and turmeric shots, right? Because another thing that Black people suffer from is inflammation in your body. And also with COVID, okay? COVID also, the big thing is the inflammation that takes place in your body. So one thing that I would offer to you all, as well as to all your listeners, is to get some turmeric in your life. Okay. Turmeric is one of the best roots out there, foods out there that organically will attack inflammation in your body and help it go away, as well as ginger. So we will mix the shots for you if you're interested in those. And then for wheatgrass, our bodies need all kind of minerals and vitamins. And so wheatgrass actually has every single vitamin and mineral man or woman's body needs. And I didn't know that before I opened up a juice bar. Okay. But I know that now. And I would tell you every week I'm taking some wheatgrass.
I'm gonna come over there to get me some wheatgrass. Let me ask you. So Dawn,
is turmeric in curry?
People sometimes put turmeric in their curry, but turmeric, I wish I was in the store to.
It's two separate things, though.
But they're entirely different. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, turmeric, I like Mr. Todd, and I'm sure many of you, I love to travel. And so when I go around the world, I'm always in a juice bar someplace else, and I'm always asking, what are you guys drinking over here? What makes you healthy? And so we were in Bali, and turmeric is something that they drink. Like we drink apple juice and orange juice here. Okay. And those people are healthy. And so I definitely brought that back. And so we sell turmeric, and we will give you some tamarind juice to chase it. And I'm telling you, it will attack any inflammation that you have in your body.
All right.
So Dawn, let me ask you something real quick. At something Boulevard with your stores there, some of them bodegas have
we on God Brewer.
I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. God Brewer, you're right. They're right. So some of the brothers in those stores, they have male performance pills in there. So what do you have any kind of male performance juices or any kind of foods or roots, anything for that?
Okay, well, let me tell you guys. I don't carry. No. This is important. I don't carry any of those pills. I really don't. But I do know that you should put some watermelon in your diet. I do know that you should keep some sunflower seeds handy. Okay, because those things are vital for a man's sexual
libido,
health.
for his libido.
Yes.
For watermelon and sunflower seeds.
Yes. Keep them handy.
Yeah, I heard this lady one time in the barbershop swear that she used to give her man the watermelon rind and juice it for him and make him, you know.
I'm telling you,
watermelon rind. You don't even have to help. It ain't gotta be the red part, Rodney. It ain't gotta be the red part.
It gotta be just the rind. It can be just watermelon.
Right. Yes, but listen, of course you take off the green skin, okay, the skin on the outside, but that white rind that's attached to the red part, you can use that.
Okay, so I gotta eat it, or I gotta like put it in a grind it up and
whatever you want. You can eat it. You can eat it. You can drink it, but you need to have that in your diet.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now, you guys are about to put a lot of pressure on my wife. Yo, you have no idea what you're telling me. Yo, you about to put me on the shopping list.
Yes, and you know, it's funny. I'm so glad that you asked me that, because on our Instagram at the Nourish Spot, you know, I have a whole bunch of different posts that I keep handy, and every time I get ready to post one about that, I'm like, oh, the Christian's gonna get me. I can't.
Hey, the Christians got to realize how we all got here. It was because of
the Christians are doing it too. They doing it too.
Yeah, the
people of Christians, I'm trying to tell you.
Listen, God made us. We have to procreate in order to make.
And God made the watermelon for black people to love. See, that's the reason why we have the watermelon in our family.
And that's probably why they put a stereotype on it, so they can probably stop us from eating it. But I'm about to eat all. I'm about to get me a watermelon.
Deep on that one, Rod.
Try your best, guys, to get watermelon with seeds. Okay, not those seedless watermelons.
I tell people that all the time.
Y'all notice the watermelons they sell? They either don't have seeds or they got them little white seeds, and it's not as sweet as it was
because it's GMO. It's GMO. That's right, right?
So do your best to try to find a watermelon with seeds.
For those in Queens,
what if I eat the seeds too?
You can't. So hold on. Let me say something to you. The only fruit. No. Listen. The only fruit that you really cannot eat the seeds are apples. So don't ever eat apple seeds, because apple seeds have arsenic in them. Okay.
Okay.
So don't eat apple seeds. But pretty much any other fruit with seeds, you can eat them. Okay.
Okay.
I learned. So another thing that you guys can put into your system is papaya, and eat those seeds as well. Those black seeds that come out of papaya, they are good for you. Okay, they're good for all of us. Okay,
I'm about to have a watermelon papaya mix.
Listen,
exactly.
And for good measure, throw some sunflower seeds, some pumpkin seeds. Excuse me, I said sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. Throw some pumpkin seeds in there.
Oh man, my wife about to throw me out the house.
It's not the sunflower; it's the pumpkin seed.
I'm sorry, I had it wrong. It's
pumpkin.
You said pumpkin seeds or pumpkin seeds?
No.
You said pumpkin seeds or pumpkin seeds?
Derek, I'm shaking my hand at you, Derek. I said pumpkin.
I thought you said pumpkin.
Well, that's what you was thinking. Okay.
Dawn, let me ask you another question real quick. How important it was for you to hire young people from the community?
Thank you for asking me that question. That is the most important question. I'm trying not to cry. So look, I'm raised in New York City. I remember my first ever job, right? It was right around the corner from where I lived. I loved having my own money, not having to ask my parents for anything. So when we first started at the Nourish Spot, I was new. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'm going to be honest. And I want to mention about the learning. I took classes, all right? I'm still taking classes to learn about business, so I know what I'm doing. But at first it was just me and my kids, but they got real jobs. You know, I'm retired. So my son and daughter was like, look, lady, you know, this was your idea. I need my benefits, right? So I said to my daughter, who's a chef by trade, yo, you got to help me get some help. I don't know what to do. You know, how I'm going to get help. And she said, I know what to do. And so my daughter partnered with the nonprofit programs in the area. So Queens Community House, Pathways to Graduation, Child Care Center of New York. We even partnered with August Martin High School and this program called WIOA. And the most important one was the mayor. New York City's mayor has a program called CCAP program, which is culinary something through the arts. And so she partnered with all those programs. And initially we got about 6 or 7 interns, which turned into 40, which has now over 100. Okay. Because we also had the SYEP program. And so out of all of those young people that came to work with us, their programs were paying them for the first 6 weeks. But then when they showed themselves as dependable, honest, you know, passionate about people and food, and really pretty much said, oh, Ms. Dawn, can I work here? Like, the internship is over. Will you hire me? And we hired them. Do you know how much pride that gives me to be able to say that I now have 9 young collegiate students, because they started in high school and now they all first, second year college students working for us. And then one of the young men, he's 19 in a pandemic, he started his own food business. Come on now, I'm proud.
Wow, that's what's up.
That's what's up. Yeah.
I'm real proud. And we have young people that are African American, people that their parents came from Guyana. We have a couple of young ladies that are Muslim, and they count Ghana. I mean, like, let's see, one is from Tanzania, the other one is from, what did she tell me? Guinea. Okay, so we have an international group of young people, and I'm proud. I'm proud of what my family and I have been able to do.
And you should be proud, Dawn. Very good, very good.
Dawn, one more question. During the pandemic, how was the pandemic? How did the pandemic hurt your business, help your business? How was the flow of traffic for you during the pandemic?
Well, you know, I was kind of concerned about the pandemic, but I'm happy to announce that I don't know if you guys ever heard the scripture where it says, you know, you were established for such a time as this. But I really do believe that God had a sense of humor and he knows what is coming. Like, we didn't know there was going to be a pandemic, but God knew there was going to be a pandemic. And so what happened was we were just the place that the community needed during the pandemic, because what was every single health professional saying on television, on the radio, online?
Boost your immune system.
Okay. Yeah. And all I had to say is, we got your fruits and vegetables. And the great thing about the Nourish Bar, and I really don't want to leave without saying this, is that we allow you to customize what you want. So remember, I used to be the person going to these salad bars, right? And what I didn't like is that everything was pretty much already prescribed for me, right? So I would have to pick the salad that they decided was the salad of the day or whatever, because I didn't like going to those places where everybody can, you know, I forgot what, you know, where everybody can just touch buffets. I don't like those, okay? And so something that was important to me is that people had choice. Okay. And so one of the great things about what we do at the Nourish Bar is we offer you choice. We have a plethora of fruits and vegetables.
Oh, I love that word.
That's not just the normal ones, right? So, you know, you can get your apples and bananas, but we also sometimes have dragon fruit. You know, we have horn melon, we have pomegranates, the real ones. Okay. Mm-hmm. You know, we keep peaches, we keep lychees in the summertime. You know, any kind of fruits that I can find, I bring them, as well as vegetables, you know, all of the vegetables, kale, spinach. The only thing we don't keep at the Nourish Bar is that romaine lettuce. Why? It's always tainted. And I don't want to have to go through that. And so we try our best to keep everything in the store that people would want to, try, or they would want in their salads. Oh, one more thing we don't keep in the store. We don't keep corn because it has no redeeming value.
Thank you.
Yeah. No nutritional value at all.
No, we want to know where you're.
Zero.
First of all, we want to know where you're located on Guy Brewer. But before you answer that, I'm going to give you my idea that I've been telling people for years. Collard green flavored smoothies. I'm telling you. I'm just telling you. I'm handing it to you, Dawn. You know, you work the magic.
Yeah, he has been talking about that for a long time too.
Okay.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy some collard greens and I'm gonna try it. But let me tell you,
no, it ain't gonna. It might be good for you, but it ain't gonna taste good.
I'm gonna try it. I might be able to hook it up. But let me tell you something. Come and get the kale, okay? We make something called a green goblin, and it's got kale in it, and that's good enough, okay? That's as close to collard that you can do.
Sure, tell the people where you're located at, Dawn.
So the Nourish Spot is located at 10705 Guy R. Brewer Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens. Because of COVID, we've kind of changed our hours a little bit. So Monday through Friday, we're open 9:30 to 6. On Saturdays, 10 to 7. On Sunday, she rests.
All right.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Nourish Spot. We also have a website. We have merchandise. I hate this computer. I can't really. Oh, there it is. We have merchandise. So you could go on our Shopify site if you like. We have cups and masks and T-shirts and hoodies. Because Warren Buffett says you need 7 streams of income, so I'm working on them.
There you go.
And like I said, and just show up. Tell your friends. We also, if you can't get to us, so we have like a 20 to 22 mile radius. So you can order through Uber Eats, DoorDash, Caviar, Grubhub, Seamless, and Postmates.
Excellent.
Okay. Right. And I will be there this week. Because usually I do Uber because I'm at work and I gotta sit right here. So, but next time I'm gonna come in person again.
Thank you.
But Dawn, I want to say you're gonna see me there too, and I want to thank you because you're the reason I'm gonna have to explain to my wife why there's a whole watermelon on the nightstand. You know what I'm saying? So, because I'm gonna get me a whole watermelon tomorrow and put it right on the nightstand.
Oh my God! I thank you guys so much for having me on the call. I want to say one more thing. So 2 things. One, I don't know if Mr. Todd is still watching, but I want to talk to him because I got some books in me and I want to talk to him about that. And then 2, I really want to tell your viewers that I'm also a coach for New York City Small Business Solutions. New York City has established a whole new program for Black entrepreneurs called BNYC, and they're doing Janelle Doris, who is the new commissioner of Small Business Services. He is bringing all the resources to bear on behalf of Black entrepreneurs. So please go online, type in BENYC, and take advantage of all of the free resources. And I'm here to tell you that the resources are free because I use some of them. Free resources to help you not only get started in business, but to also sustain and keep your business moving forward, even in the pandemic.
Excellent.
Dawn, we're going to make sure that you and Mr. Todd connect. We're definitely going to get you guys in touch. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure, sister. We love you, sister.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Be safe and rest up tomorrow.
I will.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care.
Guys. You blew up. That's the first time. Guys, I got 3 words. I got 3 words to say. Words to say. Watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
Hey, man, don't forget them pumpkin seeds, man. Put that in your life too.
Pushing seeds. Pushing seeds.
Oh man.
Pushing seeds. Pumping seeds. Right.
Yeah,
Pumping
pumping seeds.
I'll tell you.
That's on the list.
Yeah, man, definitely.
This is a hell of a show. That was the fastest 2 hours I think
Hell
I've seen in a long time. That was better than all my Zooms at work this week. That was fast. But, we had some great guests. You know, we had Andy Dominguez Garcia bring it in. We have our brother Todd brought it in.
Family don't even. He gave y'all the family name tonight, man. He goes by Garrett. He gave y'all the family name. He's real comfortable tonight.
Yeah. We family, man. You know. So we had our sister Dawn just bring it all home for us at the end, man. Like this was an excellent show tonight, man.
Yeah.
So many good takeaways from the show. So good takeaways. I truly got educated tonight on a lot of different things. I'm going about to buy some watermelons. The guy on Merrick Boulevard, y'all. And
he's not in the winter. He's not there in the winter. I already checked.
Oh, damn. Yeah. All right, damn. So no watermelons. Well,
no, I'm gonna get me some watermelons, dude. if I gotta drive to South Carolina to get a watermelon, I'm going to South Carolina.
Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch.
Well, yo, brothers, listen, man. I love you all, man. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you guys next week, man. Love you, brothers.
All right, take care, guys.
Love y'all.
Peace.